the streams or those as well. And then also, if you don't want to turn your camera on, you don't have to turn your camera on. Okay, I hate being on video. I have a face for radio, but this is my job. So if you don't want to turn your camera on, you certainly don't have to. You certainly don't have to. And it usually just takes one brave folk, okay, one brave soul to say, you know what, I'll go first. And then all of the questions all come whole. See, Robert, that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I was looking for. Okay, Robert, you're up first. You'll need to unmute. I'll let you know when you get it. Gotcha.
All right. Hear me?
Yeah, I gotcha.
All right. So I guess my question first is, why do you not like the gallery model as much? I mean, over times it's been changing and modernizing more to think more about the artist. Now, you made a good point about most galleries wanting to get their cut, especially after COVID, to recoup for the losses of that. But what about those galleries who have started up after COVID, who have seen all of these signs of these previous galleries that just like have been doing it the wrong way in our eyes?
Yeah, yeah, and there's a ton of room for disruption. Here's what I would say, and a lot of this has like been borne out by years and years and years and years and questions and seeing people come onto these webinars and everything else. I'm not anti-gallery model. I'm anti putting all of one's eggs in the gallery model basket, because what happens is that year after year, people are purchasing your art, and you have no idea who they are, and you have no way to market to them, and you have no way to form a relationship with them. And then if anything ever changes in that gallery, it goes out of business. You're no longer in vogue there. You know, something happens, you have a falling out. You could have been in that gallery for like 10 years and you don't have anything else going on the side, because that's what normally happens. Like, you know, it's everybody's dream. I know that, right? Like the gallery's just going to take care of everything. I'm just going to be the creative and I'm just going to create. And that sounds awesome. But no one talks about this being a creator, a collector driven business. Okay. And I mentioned on my webinars again and again, like, you know, there's people in here right now that are in their 60s and their 70s and probably 80s. And if they knew who their collectors were their entire career, they would have such a built-in base salary, because the collectors go with you for life. So you have to have some mechanism where you know who's purchasing your work and you're at least cultivating some list of collectors. Now, if you're in a gallery and it's going well and it's driving revenue, awesome. But it can't be your be all end all, right? You have to have at least something cooking on your end where you're capturing emails, you're marketing actively on the socials, and you're growing the business that you own too, right? So that's sort of my like strong opinion about the galleries. But then also the numbers are just, they're kind of grim, you know, with the 50-50 haircut and how much you need to sell in a gallery to be able to do really, really well. I just don't like people getting fixated on it being the be all end all, but not anti. Again, never met a revenue source I don't like as long as it's legal. You know, like, you know, there's so many different ways for creatives to make it in today's day and age. And ultimately, like, that's the goal, right? Like, you have this incredible talent. Let's turn this into a livelihood that is growing year after year. That's the game.
If I may,
Please, please.
you mentioned about artists being in their 60s.
Mm-hmm.
My mother
Mm-hmm.
is about to be 67 this month on the 20th,
Awesome.
and she does all of this art.
Mm-hmm.
She's Buddhist. She's done multiple posters
Mm-hmm.
and other things of that sort. I'm a digital artist, but here's the twist. I actually run and own a online e-commerce art gallery.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of what I do. That's why I clicked the tab gallery when they were doing the questionnaire
Yeah, yeah.
for signing up for this. So I listen to a lot of artist complaints and then implement what's lacking in other galleries into mine. So
Mm-hmm.
mine is completely digital. You can submit your work. Everything is done online. We do everything from posters to mugs to paintings to anything you want. We have official print copies. We also have a collection called Art in Motion, which we will take your artwork and select a few pieces and actually transfer it on to clothing like jackets, hoodies, shirts,
Mm-hmm.
hats, whatever you want. So that's why first question I had was, why not the gallery? But I hear your point about the putting your eggs in one basket,
Yeah.
which is why one of the things we do is we connect the artists with the collectors or the buyers, and we will help them get into these art fairs and do these shows.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, we also pay for the supplies. So you don't have to pay for your own supplies. You're contracted with us. You need paints, you need canvases, you need frames, you need whatever you need. We will actually supply that.
That's
And
awesome.
we still do a 50-50 split, but it's not like 50-50 split plus you supply your own supplies, plus you supply your own hotel, plus you supply the. We take care of all of that in the coordination when we're doing shows and stuff like that. And we do mostly virtual shows. So you don't even have to really leave your home.
Hmm.
I'm trying to set up a VR AR gallery through Metaverse as well, where people can actually purchase through the digital forms your physical artwork, and then it'll be sent to them.
Yeah, I think that's really really interesting. The VR AR, where that's all going to go. I get pitched on that like, oh, like once every month. Somebody that writes the software will like email in, and while I think it's awesome and I think it might be the future, I think it's still got a long way to go because it's just introducing friction into a process that doesn't necessarily need friction, right? Like there's nothing that even comes close to seeing works in person, and that's not going away anytime soon. But I do think it's interesting. But that's a cool model. I love that you got that going on. How many artists do you have on the in the gallery?
To me and my mother.
Yeah,
But I do have a few artist submissions that I have on my website. Most of the work that you see on there is done by my mother,
got it.
and we've only been open since April of last year.
Very cool.
So
Very cool. Yeah. And then, it essentially you're in the same business. You're in the same business, as every other artist, right? Like it's your job to bring the eyeballs, right?
yeah,
It's the same marketing problem. But that's awesome. Congrats, and I hope that goes well. I think it's really cool, and I think it's cool you and your mom are partnering up on it, and you can totally do that, right? Especially when it's a family affair. It's a great
well,
way to go about it.
our problem isn't necessarily marketing. It's more finding artists to, put their work in our gallery
Mm-hmm.
to network. And because of the LLC process we have, it's mostly localized to Illinois. So
Gotcha.
that's a big issue of ours.
Yeah, you got.
Is like find local artists that with a new gallery want to put their artwork in with us. I mean, they keep the physical copy. They just put pictures online and then we sell it. We send them the notification, hey, come over. Let's get this shit packed and shipped over. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, yep,
Like that's process. So
yep. I gotcha. Yeah, you should. You'll definitely want to expand it. To so you can get other ones in there. But awesome, and appreciate the feedback. Anything else I can help you with?
no, I'm just gonna sit here and listen to other questions and kind of take notes.
I love it. Thanks. All right, Arena, you're up next. Go to Arena.
Hi,
Hi.
Patrick. I am with the Copilot
Mm-hmm.
business.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I am. I was very, busy with a lot of stuff going on,
Mm-hmm.
just life.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of dropped the ball on the website glow up.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I know it started with me filling the form, feeling the people response on my art, and then at the end it sent me to some kind of website. um I'll tell you, jolt form. What's Is it even related to that?
Yeah, I think
what
it's
what
probably something that we use internally. But what I'll do is don't worry about filling out any forms. I'll have somebody reach out to you directly.
Okay, all right. I didn't understand. It's and I think I know I have a co-pilot till
Mm-hmm.
June or through the June.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't understand. Do I need to pay extra for glow up?
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry about any of that. I just mentioned my team. Just wait till they contact you. Somebody will contact you right
Okay,
away, probably today, and then we'll get you replugged in
all right.
and all the way back up
Will
to
it be
speed.
on the phone?
Yeah,
Because
they'll email you first, and then probably set up a Zoom or a phone call, whatever's easiest for you.
okay,
Yeah.
all right then.
Thanks,
Thanks.
thanks, Indiana. All right, guys. Who else? Questions, comments, concerns? Otherwise, you will force me into my cell phone rant. Okay, which I'm telling you is a good one. I think you guys will like it. Um, yeah, Troy, was that it? Hand up. Yep, gotcha. Go ahead.
So the question is, I've been listening to your podcast. They're great, by the way.
Oh, thank you. By the way, which ones do you prefer? Because we're like in an existential crisis in this whole thing. Like, the newest ones are like Nick, the CEO, and I kind of just talking about big picture macro trends. And then previously it was like mostly me doing like the hardcore marketing rants, which I like doing. But
I think I'm in the middle of both of those right
Mhm.
now. 'Cause, I was listening last weekend to you talking to an artist that came from Russia or the UK, and his wife and him create art pieces
yeah,
together.
yeah,
And that was a fascinating conversation. But yesterday I was out walking and you were talking about the activity that it takes to market in the fourth quarter.
yeah,
And you kept saying that the fourth quarter was the most important quarter. I'm
yeah. It is.
curious of what the next quarter is. What quarter is busier? That's not as busy as the fourth quarter
Yeah,
in the year.
yeah. That's a great question. You could argue that summer and spring are both that, right? With maybe even summer being a little higher. And sort of what we find is, okay, the minute summer kicks in, everyone moves. New school, new area, new job, new house, new art needs, right? And so that spurs on a lot of it. Sometimes it can be a little bit niche, dependent as well, depending on like what your niche is. But in a macro, fourth quarter comes huge. Then January, like, okay, Christmas is all over. Now I want to get something for me. And then things peter out, and then they start picking up again in spring. And one of the things you'll hear me talk about repeatedly throughout the podcast is like, you can't take any of the big holidays for granted. And everyone's like, well, I sell art. Like, what the heck? Mother's Day, Father's Day. What does any of that mean to me? It doesn't mean anything to me. As human beings, we are wired by this society that we live in. When everything has a huge sale, we're just a little bit itchy on our trigger finger, right? Like, we get hit with the dopamine of the advertising, and it 100% translates to art and photography sales. So that's what I would say.
And then the second question, I like both forms, by the way. So I like you go on a rant, but I like the rant, and I can't wait for you to get to the cell phone case,
Yeah.
because that's hilarious. When I listened to it the other day, I was just like, I totally get it.
Yeah. It's so smart.
I live in San Francisco, and it's like every park is now full of artists that are up on display. And a couple weeks ago or a month ago, it was just one person. Now it's three people, and then it's getting bigger, especially in North Beach.
Awesome.
The second question is, in the conversations that I've heard, you have somebody that reaches out to the artist to talk about if your art fits art storefronts. Can you talk a little bit more about what that is and what artists you're looking for?
Yeah, everybody always wants their art looked at. Okay, and like, tell me a look. Can you audit this? Am I on the right track? What do you think? And our outreach team will do that. So it's nice to be able to get a second pair of eyes. Even if you have no intent of signing up for art storefronts, don't tell anybody I told you that. So they will look at it. They will look at it and give you some constructive feedback, which is great. But do you know what I find? Like, and I continue to find, and I think one of the primary reasons that we exist as a business is because of the just sheer paucity, the dearth, the lack of education that exists for creatives out there. Like, oh, you have this creative talent. How are you going to monetize this and turn this into a business, right? And one of the things that you learn as you go through this process is that the most successful ones are just the ones that fire the most arrows. Everyone thinks like, oh, is my work good enough? And the pangs of self-doubt and all of that. Once you realize that everyone, all the masters in particular, like the stat I love citing is like, you'll hear me say it on the podcast, Picasso had 47,000 unsold works when he died. What did that guy know that everyone didn't? That it's a game of archery. And a lot of times you're going to fire for the target and you're going to miss horribly. And it's not a death knell. It doesn't mean you're a crappy artist. It just means what you created at that point in time is not resonating with a huge audience. And so what I find is like art encouragement about understanding this is your work now. If it works, great. But we're going to take some other shots at some other things and see if we can't get something that works even better. And the other wild thing that I've seen is like multiple times. Here's my body of work. This is the stuff that I like to create that creatively speaks to me. I'm going to try and sell it. I'm getting ho-hum results. It's not really selling that well. Then I'm going to try some new things. A new thing happened that ended up being a hit. I ride that for a couple of years. I now have clout, standing, social media following, and an email list. And do you know what happens? The old body of
The
work
old
starts.
stuff comes
Yeah.
back.
And what that's taught me time and time again is like art sales are 50-50. Everyone thinks they're 100%. It's just a meritocracy on the art. It's just all about the art and that's it. It's not. It's 50% the art and 50% the artist. Who's Troy? What does he do? Where does he live? He likes dogs. He likes cats. We know he likes walking. We know he lives in the Bay Area, right? Like, you know, does he enjoy drinking white wine or is he a teetotaler? Does he go to church? Is he like all of these things that like we make decisions based on having something in common and having something fascinating with the artist. And it's like it changes the whole ball game when you realize that and you start exposing it. And it's so funny because like one of the exercises that I'll continually have to run my customers through, and I know this is happening to all of you because macro blanket statement, almost all artists love hiding behind the canvas. Almost all photographers love hiding behind that lens, right? And so I come to your social media sites and all I see is art, 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 art. And so the challenge I have to do to my customers, especially on like the social posting, is like, this is the prompt. What is something that I can post on social media that has absolutely nothing to do with my art? Post it. And everyone's like, well, my life's not interesting. Bullshit. We all have interesting lives. And there are tribes of people that have lives just like us. They just want to know that this is you, you know? So important that.
Thank you for answering my question. I think Mary Jane had her hand up.
Okay. I will. Yeah. Sometimes when I go out of the grid mode, I have to like find where everyone is. Ariel's got her hand up next. And then Mary Jane, when I find you, I will grab you next. I'll just grab Mary Jane next. And then Emilio, I think, had his hand up. I'll go there next. Go ahead, Mary Jane. And thanks for that, Troy.
For what I was going to ask now. Pretty bad.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, anyway.
You want to
think about it.
Yeah, think about it and raise your hand again, and I'll call on you again.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I work in many different media, so marketing is sort of tricky. And if you get supportive crew and you have gallery representation and friends that, you know, follow you, that's great. But I can't remember the big question I was going to ask you, but I do like this show and thank you so much for having it. So
thanks.
If we artists can communicate with each other and share information.
Yeah, it's amazing how valuable it is. And, you know, I'll just go down that tangent briefly and then Ariel will grab your question. So before the pandemic, we didn't meet as a community and a customer base at Art Storefronts. Like, you know, we just had all the education, you know, we would answer support tickets and that kind of thing and chats and all of that, but none of that was going on. Since then, we started office hours, which is sort of like our internal product. And it's basically just like this. It's just like this, except we have 9 sessions a week, Zoom sessions a week at all different times, where you come in and we discuss these things and it's a community. And what's wild about it is like on a lot of these sessions, we'll have 400, 500, 600 people. And maybe only 30 people will answer. Yeah, maybe only 30 people will ask questions, but everyone else just hangs around because you guys all have the same problems and same issues, the same pangs of self-doubt, the same pricing issues, the same marketing issues, the same, you know, branding questions. And if you have somewhere focused where everyone can learn from one another, it really is, it's not just like the learning, but the encouragement, right? Like to keep going. I was there, you know, I was in that tough spot that you were in a couple of years ago. Here's how I got out of it. So we find that that's really, really important, you know?
And the whole digital marketing scene has changed.
Oh my! Every weekend it feels like they're moving the goalposts.
What's scary is what are we going to do about AI technology and ChatGPT? I'm a writer and an artist, and you know we're going to have to deal with that in some way. You know,
we've been having some huge discussions internally on this, right? Because on the platform we have some folks that are generating images with Midjourney and they're selling those, right? We encourage leveraging ChatGPT to help write image descriptions because it's very effective at that.
Absolutely.
The blank canvas problem. But what we just did, we literally just shipped this feature on Thursday. I don't believe in just letting all of these AIs train on our customers' IP. So we blocked 100% of the crawling of any AIs from our websites. Everything, all photos, all videos, all text, all about me, just not having it. I'm just not having it. You know, everyone got caught with their pants down because no one knew that Google and, well, I mean, we sort of knew, OpenAI was scanning every single solitary portion of the open internet, right? And this is all one huge legal thing to unfold and go out. But on our end, we're just like, no, we're not allowing our our customer stuff to be scanned. So we just
Yeah,
did that.
but I'm just wondering how we're going to be able to differentiate what was created by a person.
Yeah,
and what was
I'm not worried about it. I'm definitely more on the scarcity. I mean, the abundance mindset with all of it, because I realize, I see time and time again, it's 50% the artist and it's 50% the art. All that's going to happen is like people are going to crave that human being connection even more. I mean, on the fringes, AI is going to do a ton of damage, right? But like if you're a Bed Bath and Beyond or a Hobby Lobby, excuse me, they're not going to pay artists. They're not going to pay artists anymore. They're going to start using AI to generate that. That's going to happen. But how many artists do you know that are in those stores anyway? It's almost none,
yeah,
right?
But how many artists are actually using it themselves? That's the other question.
Yeah.
To generate their images. I do have a friend that I did a documentary on who turned himself into a robot many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to say, "What good is the body?" His name's Stellark, Stelarc.
Cool.
Very important Australian artist. But, he transformed himself into a robot to just go about his
day to day.
And I see it's scary, because I've seen some beautiful images created by AI technology.
Yeah.
I mean, just beautiful. I don't know about the writing, but anyway, it's just something we artists are definitely going to have to deal with.
Yeah, I really like it in some capacities though, because one of the difficulties of being an artist is you guys are all solopreneurs and you're having to wear all of the hats all the time, right? The analogy I give, it's like it's your restaurant, you're the head chef, but unfortunately, you're also the receptionist, you're also the maitre d', you're also the waiter, you're the sommelier, you're the bartender, you're the busboy, right? Because you have to wear all the hats, you have to do all those things. And, if the premise of AI is it makes all human beings way more efficient, right, and increases their output, i.e. increases GDP, then I like it, because the artist is going to be able to do more, and it's going to make them more powerful, more effective as an individual creator.
I mean, it might, but with AI technology, how much of the work is the artist's?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing.
Yeah, you never know.
I find it a bit scary.
Yeah, it could be coming for all of us. We never know.
You ought to look at Stellark.
Yeah, I'll Google that. I'll check it out. Thanks, Mary Jane.
What good is the body?
Yeah, it is. We have a wild future in front of us. I'll tell you that much. Okay, Ariel, and then I'll get you Madeline too. Don't worry.
Okay, hi. My name is Ariel Fernandez, and my question is more related to the streams. You mentioned that I think it was the second best option is while you're doing a stream live in Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, where you have that personal contact with many people at the same time, and you can have multiple products to show to them. My question is, how do you manage? What technology do you use? And how often do you guys prepare the announcement for those streams? And basically the structure, because as you mentioned, I think is the best way while you are doing a stream that you have plenty of people looking at your art and they are interacting live with you, and it's one-to-one person communication. I really like that, but I'm trying to figure out how you guys structure it.
Yeah, it's a great question. And the short answer, the too long didn't read answer, is I fire a lot of arrows, Ariel. I mean, I ship thousands of them. Short ones, long ones, big groups, one platform, many platforms, multiple different software platforms, software to help me do the streaming, customer interviews, random interviews, reaction videos, because I don't have it all figured out. We don't have it all figured out as a brand. But one thing I will say, if it wasn't clear to everyone, he's asking about live streaming as a marketing channel, which, I really tend to. I mean, we're doing it right now. My analogy with the live streaming, especially that I think is like, with these social media sites, it's sort of like we all have our own store in the mall. And when we go live, we're opening the doors. And if you had a store in the mall and you opened your doors, it could be a slow day. It could be a busy day. It could be a day 30 people walk in. It could be a day 2 people walk into the store. You don't know, right? There's some serendipity that takes place there. But the fact that our mall is the entire internet is pretty staggering to be able to do that, right? Incredibly staggering to be able to do that. And one of the questions I always ask, like, do you know what the best way to sell art is? And it's a trick question because we all know what the best way to sell art is. It's in person, face to face. That always has been the best. That always will be the best, right? And that's never going away. But the next best way, I believe, is live video. I really do. And so I encourage my customers to do live art shows, right? And I've got playbooks on that, on how to walk through and how to do it and how to contemplate it. But then also I encourage my customers, like, you know, don't rely on your doggone website. Yes, we need to have a website. Yes, our websites are great. That's amazing. But one of the highest value things you can do is jump onto a FaceTime or jump into a Zoom or jump into a chat with a prospective customer, which they can get to know you, show off the art. So I think it works across the board. To answer your questions pointedly about the software, Ariel, I use either StreamYard or Restream, depending on what kind of scenario that we're in. So those both allow you to go live on Instagram, which is really pretty awesome. Instagram used to stipulate that you could only go live with the phone, which made things a little bit more complicated. Now you can do it with software, and so you can use a nice mic and you can bring in screen shares. Yeah.
I'm thinking on the video production aspect of it to make it more like a TV show where the people are arriving to your Instagram, they see a person hosting the actual live show, and they have another camera where he's pointing at the exact artwork that they are talking about.
Yeah.
And basically that structure that I know marketing wise is very effective, and customers, they love that because it's as you mentioned, it's interaction. It's not like when you're in a listing site as first tip to mention one that you never know if you don't look further who is the seller or who is the artist. And I really like that in personal interaction with the clientele, and that's what got me curious about your platform, because I think it's the next thing, because technology is allowing us to get in front of their eyes of the people, and if they follow you already and you have a big platform, so the chances are bigger that you will sell right away.
100%, and it builds on itself too. What you come when you find to do it, but don't because I know where your mind's going, Ariel, because I can hear in your question exactly where I was not too long ago. Don't overthink all the technology piece. Just say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do 50 of them. Okay, and get yourself out a notepad, and after you've done the first one, scratch off 50 and write 49. And wait till it goes all the way down to 0. Fastest way to learn what's going to work, what's going to resonate, how you're going to get comfortable on camera, how you're going to handle the interactions, how you're going to get comments up on the screen, what format works, is it short, is it long, what's the best time in your time zone, all of those things, right? So just go and ship a bunch of them, because let me tell you, I have been ranting and raving about the power of them for 2 years, and do you know how many artists and photographers I see them doing on a regular basis? Almost none. My customers included, right? I've got some of my customers that have over 1 million followers on Instagram, and I'm sitting there going, do you understand what you could be doing? It's just, it's hard because it's terrifying for most people. You know, it's really scary.
They're already there following you. There is a reason why they like your art, they like you as a person. You just need to knock the door and open the sale for them.
Exactly right. Amen, brother. Send me a link. I want to see one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that.
Right. Thanks, Ariel. All right, Madeline, you're up next. You'll still need to unmute, Madeline. Mic icon. Yep, gotcha.
Hey, oh, sorry about that.
You're all good.
Yeah, hold on. Let me unraise my hand. Okay. Nice to meet everyone. I'm Madeline, otherwise known as MJ. I do a different art for everything. I'm getting more into like the portfolio is not a problem. I've kind of been around since MySpace doing miscellaneous things like
MySpace shout out. You and I got to be around the same age. That was way back in the day. MySpace Tom.
It was the first access to the internet I was able to have I was only 12 years old on MySpace, which a 12-year-old shouldn't be.
Should not have been on there, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I did, do some, creative stuff on there with coding back in the day, and then led into having a photography business, doing that, videography. I went to the Art Institute of Orange County and
nice.
Dropped out, kind of did my own thing. And
where in Orange County are you from, just out of curiosity?
I'm from Long Beach, California, but the school was in Costa Mesa over near Disney.
Yep. I grew up in Southern California, and I'm one city away from Costa Mesa, actually.
Oh, wow. Where are you?
Newport.
Newport.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I used to go to Newport Beach. It was Exit Harbor, so that's Newport Beach.
Yeah.
By In-N-Out Burger there. So that's where I went to school. And, I feel like I've learned a lot just kind of venturing out on my own. And sometimes I do what helps me as far as marketing and stuff and promoting my own brand is creating a bunch of stuff and trying to do like promo work. So like you find like a big artist or even a micro influencer that you want to work with, and you do like a free design for them or edit for them, whatever art that you do, just offer something for free for, promotional use. And then you do a collaboration post maybe on Instagram. It shares to both pages. And then that's how I've gotten a lot of clients recently in the last 3 months. Like my business has just been going viral. I'm very blessed. So I'm doing lots of graphic art and like white labeling, brand designing for lots of cannabis brands, which this week is 420. Happy 420 to all my fellow stoners here. But so I think, promoing and offering those like little free things that you can do and have that time even once a week or once every 2 weeks or once a month to collaborate with someone that kind of gets different sets of eyes on you. Like I work with a lot of people from Texas, and I travel around, but I went from, Atlanta to Utah to the Midwest this month.
Awesome.
And so I've never even really chilled in Texas like that. And all my clients are coming from Texas because I started making these album covers of cartoons. Like you can pick any type of cartoon you want to be, and I'll go ahead and design it. Family Guy or Simpsons or Bratz dolls. Girls love the Bratz dolls. And not all my art is AI, but I do blend and incorporate AI, and I'm doing more like drawing now because I'm starting to create more independently. But AI, I had that feeling. I don't use Mid Journey, but I've heard of it. But I've had that feeling it was kind of just scanning the internet in other art galleries, so there could potentially be copyright things.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard, right? Because I've heard the flip side of the argument, which is like, okay, a musician listens to the radio and listens to a bunch of different types of music on the radio, and then goes and creates their own song. Like, isn't that what the AI is doing? The AI is going and training on everything that's out there, and then it creates its interpretation of it. So I've seen it argued both ways. I don't know what the right answer is, but I don't like them training on data sets that they're not paying for. That's for sure.
Things that I find AI useful for is if I have to create a background, like those flames, maybe like, okay, I'm not going to sit there every single day and draw out every single thing with all the clients that I get. So maybe AI can help me, but then I can filter it and create it to my own uniqueness.
It helps with the blank page, right? Like it helps not starting from scratch. I think it's super powerful for that.
Yeah, there's lots of really, really great apps, and then print on demand stuff. I aside from the things that I do, I guess I wanted to get out of this call because we all are time limited here, I'd imagine. With it's about to be 4:00 here, but I am very curious to know about your guys's print servicing because that's something I'm getting more into. I'd like to ideally have where my clients have access to printing my designs. And what type of merch do you guys print, and how does that work for the drop shipping?
Yeah, great question. So we are partnered with two different print partners. There's one on the West Coast, there's one on the East Coast. One on the West Coast called Bay Photo, huge business, and then Graphic Dimensions is the one on the East Coast, which is not like a forward-facing brand, but they have all the printers, all the inks, all the different media types. So that covers that. On the merch side of the house, we partner with this company called Gooten, Gooten, and there's like a pretty strong multitude of things you can offer. Everything from shirts to tote bags to photo books to coasters to gift cards to stickers to calendars to puzzles to coffee mugs and yoga mats. There's like the whole slew of stuff. And what's great about it is we've automated 100% of that. So Order comes in, you get paid, printer gets paid, printer prints it, printer ships it, the system sends all the emails for you. You don't have to lift a finger. You don't literally have to do a thing. It's just all taken care of for you, which is cool. Yeah, you did. You muted yourself. Hold on, let me mute you. Good.
Sorry. It's just a habit. I always mute myself. But okay. So is there like a catalog or inventory of things that we can see the like what you guys offer? Because for example, this is random, but I want to do like some designs on blank skateboards for people because I have a lot of skater friends, and then I just do like random stuff, and it's getting complicated for me to outsource big jobs and rely on those companies to do a good job for my client. So it's like me putting my name on someone I may have never worked with and then taking a risk with their money, and I don't like doing that.
Yes, totally understand that and totally agree. It's exactly, it's like one of those hats, right? Like you have to create the work, and then you have to sell the work, and then you have to market the work, and then you have to deal with the admin on the printing, right? And then you have to deal with the taxes. Like something's got to give if you're going to have the time to focus on the most important things, which is why we love POD and taking care of all of it. I'm not sure we would have every single solitary item, that you would be interested in, but we'd point you in the right direction if we didn't have it. So, we have 14,000 customers. The sheer width and breadth of things that people are selling on our sites is pretty out of control. So there's a very, very good community behind all that as well.
And the last thing I have to say, it's not a question. Well, it's kind of a question. What do we do from here if we are just really interested in seeing everything in writing? Like, do you guys send out like a digital package or something for us to review, or the different options of plans?
Yeah, there's both. There's some stuff that they can send you, but you should also just go and get a demo. So like the demo process is a Zoom session where they walk you through all the bells, all the whistles, all the plans, all the prices. You can ask questions.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought this was the demo. I wasn't sure. I just got an email and I joined last minute. Thank you. Thank you for hosting the call.
Yeah. My pleasure. And don't worry about putting in the demo. I'll have somebody reach out to you. I just threw your name in the little chat and said, hey, somebody contact her. So.
Next week though. Next week. This week is too busy for me. So like next Tuesday or Monday is good for me.
Yeah, they'll email you and then you can just schedule it from there. It's just good. It's just good to see. We have so many things going on that like unless you can see it visually, like it takes too long to try and figure that out. Like we're messing around with a brochure right now, but anyway, neither here nor there. Thanks, Madeline.
Thank you.
So okay. Unless there's any other burning questions, I will go into my cell phone rant, which I think is a crazy one. Okay, crazy one. I know some of you guys inevitably will have iPhones. Some of you will inevitably have Android phones. I don't know how it works on Android phones, but I'll give you the iPhone explanation and then just wrap your head around this one for a second. So, as a digital marketer, okay, I've been doing this for like quite some time. One of the things that you instinctively do as an operator is you check the Apple App Store and the Android App Store once a week, and you see what are the hottest apps that are being downloaded. You do this to just make sure that there's not some brand new thing where a bunch of attention is going and you can get in there before everyone else, do a better job of telling your story and grow your business, right? That's just something that we do as operators. But the takeaway is that the most downloaded apps is where all the attention is. That's where you want to go. That's where you want to be telling your story, right? So what's wild to think about is, yes, we offer all these various different merchandising pieces, one of which is a cell phone case. And I haven't really been pushing the cell phone cases all that hard or encouraging my customers to have them. And then I sort of had this epiphany recently, and it'll be a little bit hard to see. Actually, I'll put it up on the screen for everyone else, and then I'll share it for you guys so you guys can see this. This is a little unsettling when you actually get in here and look at this, but Apple's got an app called Screen Time, okay? And so if you just type Screen Time in the top search box, it comes up and it gives you this report, right? Now, this is my demo phone, so it just sort of sits. It's kind of like picture like a phone that's like, at the Apple store stuck on a stand all day. But if you go into the Screen Time report, it'll give you the actual time that the screen is spent on. And then there's this section down here called pickups, okay? And if you pull out your phone and you look at this Screen Time report, you're gonna be given a number on average how many times per day you pick up your cell phone, okay? And while it's a fun little exercise, it might be a little terrifying exercise because you're going to realize just how many times you pick up your phone on a daily basis. If you're sort of in my age group, okay, and I'm 45, we average about 110 times a day, okay? 110 times a day we pick up our cell phones. And so each one of these things is measured like this, via an accelerometer. If you're younger, if you're in the millennial generation, it's approaching 200 times a day. 200 times a day they pick up their phones. And I look at merch, and I used to have my lovely cell phone. Let me just see if I can find it because it's good for display purposes. I have small children that like displacing anything and everything that I have on my desk, which is look like what has happened in this case. Doggone it. Anyway, I'll have to do it with my real one. And so I look at that and I'm like, why am I not encouraging my customers to sell more cell phone cases? Do you realize there is no better advertisement for an artist that likely exists than your art being on the back of something that's being picked up on average 110 times a day, 7 days a week? That is insane, okay? If you start offering cases and you pair the cases with the digital image they can use at their background, you potentially have both sides of something that's getting picked up 200 times a day, 150 times a day. That's insane, right? Like that is like one of the most incredible advertising opportunities that exist for artists that I could possibly imagine. And, you know, if you're me, you spent your entire career trying to get people's attention. In a lot of cases, that's been through digital advertising. Well, I can only get your attention if you have your phone or your computer on and you're using one of the applications that I can advertise on. Imagine having your art on someone's cell phone case 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 100 times a day at pickup. That's the most insane thing I've ever heard of. You want to talk about keeping yourself top of mind? I have now pivoted to, I think that is the single solitary most important merch item that you could possibly sell. I think one should go with every single solitary order that you ship out automatically, whether you charge them more for it or you just include it. I think artists should start offering it as a subscription service, i.e. every month you get a new piece on a new cell phone case to match your cell phone. I think certain artists that create works that correspond nicely to outfits could probably ship packets with like 15 of them, and you could swap your cell phone case out depending on what outfit you're wearing. I think there's just so much opportunity that exists in that because, I mean, that is like a billboard. That is like a billboard. It's the best billboard that exists. I mean, the minute you look at the stats of how many times you pick up the phone, you're like, oh my gosh, he's so right. Like, let me put it this way. Is there anybody in this call, okay, that looks at your own art 150 times a day? I doubt it, right? I doubt it. That's insane. You could not do any better than that. You know, I sit down at the dinner table with friends and I put the phone face up and they start asking questions and now they're telling the story about the artist. You know, the rub is you have to format for this screen, right? Which is probably not the aspect ratio most of you guys are shooting in or painting in. So it does take some creativity there, but man, is that a big deal. I just feel like that is such a big deal. So anyway, you'll see more and more of my teaching on this as I go forward because I think it's a really, really smart item, to have in one's lineup, and certainly one I'm advocating all my customers do. So, okay, more on that to come. Appreciate all of you. Thanks for the questions. I want everyone to have an absolutely wonderful week. I'm going to send you guys the replay of this session with all the links to all the things that I mentioned. If you're interested in finding out more about art storefronts, definitely go and get a demo. That is all the plans, all the pricing, all the back end, all the everything, all the bells, all the whistles, everything that we offer. Let's turn these creative talents into a business, you guys, and let's get it growing year after year, month after month. And subscribe to my podcast, all right? Like Troy was telling you, it's really easy to find, as I can't find it myself, right? But it's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Spotify, any podcasting app will have it, and it's called the Art Marketing Podcast. So here it is, this big ugly orange logo. I definitely need to get a rebrand going on this. But there's a ton of really, really good episodes in there going all the way back, going all the way back to, I think like 2017 or something like that. It's been going for a while. But on that note, really appreciate all of you guys, and have a great rest of your weeks. Bye, guys.